Hey, what's up, guys? Spencer Rhodes here. So, Morgan Jones is a huge character in the Walking Dead franchise. He's a huge character on The Walking Dead. He's a huge character on Fear the Walking Dead. He's just a very important character. He's been on the show. I mean, he's existed for over 11 years in real life. He was there in the very first episode of The Walking Dead back in 2010, and 11 years later, he's still going strong. Sometimes he's around, sometimes he's not, sometimes he leaves, sometimes he stays. He's just such a cool character, and he's a very capable survivor, and Lenny James gives a very fascinating performance. I feel like every moment he's on screen, he just really grabs your attention and he doesn't let go, and he just makes you forget about everything else. He makes you forget about what's going on in real life. He makes you forget about your day, because I think he's a really captivating actor, and his performance as Morgan is really captivating. And he was in one episode of Season 1, and he just left such an impression. He was in one episode of Season 3 and left such an impression. A few episodes of Season 5, same thing. And then from there, he became a main cast member, and then eventually the main character of Fear the Walking Dead. And I know that some people weren't happy that he pretty much replaced Madison as the leader, pretty much replaced Madison as the main character, but I'm okay with it, especially because I feel like Madison's not dead, and she's going to come back sooner or later. So Madison's alive, but overall, I like that Morgan is the main character of Fear the Walking Dead. I like that he's leading his own show. I definitely enjoy his screen time, and I'm happy that he has so much screen time. And he's my favorite character in the whole franchise, just without a doubt, my favorite character in the whole franchise. And I'm glad that he's never been killed off. I'm very happy about that. But, you know, it's the Walking Dead franchise, and 99% of the time, characters get killed off. And I mean, it could be different with Morgan, because, you know, he's like, I don't die. You know, he's convinced that he's cursed, like everyone around him dies, but he doesn't. And I don't think he really believes that anymore. He still believes that he still believes that he lives no matter what. He believes that he doesn't die. You know, he lives. He always lives. He survived the end of Season 5 when he thought he wasn't. He thought he was about to get devoured by walkers, but he survived that, and he once again said, you know, I don't die. So he's still convinced that he lives no matter what. He's still convinced that he doesn't die. But I think he's a really awesome character. But, you know, could he die? Could he be killed off at some point? Is his story coming to an end? Could he get killed off at some point? I think it's possible. You know, I don't want him to die anytime soon. I would be happy for him to be in another 20 seasons or whatever, for him to be in some movies. You know, I hope that he stays a long time. He has stayed a long time, but I'm okay with him continuing to stay involved in the franchise for a long time. I'm just a big fan of the character, and I feel like he still has a lot of potential, and they can continue to reinvent the character and continue to come up with more story for the character. But could they kill him off? Are they going to kill him off? You know, I don't know. I can't predict the future. I feel like with the way his story is going, he still has a lot of story left. He's still the lead character. He's still the main character. I mean, they went through the trouble of literally replacing Madison Clark with Morgan. And don't say they didn't. They obviously did. It's obvious. They killed off Madison Clark and replaced her with Morgan. They replaced Madison with Morgan. So I feel like if they're going to go through the trouble of doing that, of taking that risk, and it was controversial, there's still a lot of fans out there that have not forgiven the writers for doing that. That was a big risk. So I'd say to kill off Morgan after all that trouble, it would be a bad idea. It would be a bad move. I think since they replaced Madison with Morgan, they need to commit. They need to keep Morgan around for a long time. If you want Madison to come back, fine. Madison comes back. Just have Morgan and Madison be on the show. Why not? But could they kill off Morgan? Are they going to kill off Morgan eventually? I don't know. But I have thought of how they could do it. How they could kill off Morgan Jones in a way that would actually work, in a way that would actually work for the character, in a way that would work for the story, in a way that would work for the fans of the character, the right way to kill off Morgan Jones. If the writers are thinking about it, if Lenny James is thinking maybe in a few years he wants to leave, or 10 years from now he wants to leave, I'm hoping he'll stay for the long haul. You know, he'll stay for a while. But, you know, if he wants to leave, if they want to kill him off, you know, what is the best way to kill off Morgan? what's the best way to do it? What's the best exit for him? What's the best way to kill him off? And I've thought about this. I've thought about the perfect way to kill off Morgan. And I've come up with an answer. I've come up with an answer that I'm happy with, that I think could work, that's not going to upset fans of Morgan, that fans of Morgan will be like, okay, that's it. That's his ending. I'm satisfied with that. That's his exit. That's the end of the character. And this is what I've come up with. A flash forward. A flash forward. Something like what they did with Captain America, where all of a sudden he's 100 years old. And I know. With Captain America, it's not a flash forward. He went to the past and came back and he's old, blah, blah, blah. But something similar to that is what I'm talking about. The Walking Dead hasn't really done too many flash forwards. We thought they were going to do it with Season 8, but with Rick having the gray hair and everything, but that was just Carl's dream. That was just Carl having a dream of what the future could look like. It wasn't really a flash forward. Now, the comics did a flash forward. I mean, with the Walking Dead did like 5 years later in Season 9, but I'm talking about like, 20, 30 years, like a flash forward, like a big time jump. Like maybe we go like super ahead, like 50, 60 years ahead of time, and then we go back. And then we show things, we slowly show all the things that lead up to that one big moment that we see 50, 60 years later into the future. That one big moment. We have to see the lead up to that one big moment 50, 60 years into the future. That's the type of thing I'm talking about. The perfect way to end Morgan Jones' character arc, the perfect way to kill him off, in my opinion, is, well, technically he doesn't get killed off. But he's old. He's super old. So I know how AMC thinks. They're not going to want to do like all of a sudden, 50, 60 years later. Now the comics did that. The comics did, for the very last issue of the comics, they did, I believe it was like 30, give or take 30 years later, because, Eugene was super old. I mean, not super old, but he was like in his 70s, and, Carl was like 35, 40. The adults were old, and the kids were really like grown adults, like in their 30s, early 40s. It was like a 30-year, 25-year time jump. Now, I don't know if the show is going to do that because we're getting the spin-off of Daryl and Carol. If you show a bunch of characters 30 years into the future, now you can't kill those characters off because you have to make it consistent. If they're alive in the 30-year time jump and you go back into the past, you can't kill those characters anymore that are alive in the 30-year time jump. So I don't know if the show is going to end with a 30-year time jump. I don't know if the show is going to end like the comics. I won't be surprised if it does, but I won't be surprised if it doesn't, because The Walking Dead isn't really ending with Season 11. There's probably going to be still more spin-offs, more movies. We're getting the Daryl Carol show, and I believe that the Daryl Carol show is not going to take place before Season 11 of The Walking Dead. It's going to take place after Season 11 of The Walking Dead. So doing a 30-year time jump is kind of risky. But they could do like a 60-year time jump with Morgan. Just a brief glimpse into the future to show Morgan's ending, the true ending of Morgan Jones. So technically he doesn't die, because, I don't die, but he's like a 100-year-old man, a 90-year-old man, and maybe it's just like a 5-minute glimpse of what 60 years later looks like, 60 years into the future looks like, or 50 years, whatever. What does that look like? Just like a 5-minute glimpse, just like a 5-minute scene, so that they don't have to, if they do a whole episode and they show all these characters that are old and stuff, now they have to keep every one of those characters alive, in the spin-offs and stuff. They can't kill them off now, because then it ruins it. It ruins the future. So they would have to follow the rules of the 60 years later. So that's why I'm saying, keep the option open to kill most of the characters, but with Morgan, do this 5-minute scene, and it's like the ending for Morgan. It's the end of Morgan Jones, the conclusion of his arc, the conclusion of his character arc, maybe the exit of Lenny James. And it's 60 years later, 50 years later, and Morgan Jones is this elderly, 90, 95, 100-year-old man, and he's old. I mean, he's old. He's like 90, 100 years old. He's super old. But, he was right. He didn't die. He didn't die, he just sees it. You know, he just sees it. He doesn't die, he just sees it. So what is Morgan doing? Well, he's not doing much of anything. I mean, he's not going to go to work. He's not going to fight anymore. He's too old for, you know, he's too old to do Aikido and you know, use his fighting stick or the axe or whatever. He's too old to kill walkers. He's an elderly guy now, you know. But he's alive. He's alive. He's 90 years old, 100 years old, but he's alive. And what is he doing? Well, he's sitting on a chair and he's telling stories to children. He's telling the stories of all his adventures, of all of his experiences, you know, during the apocalypse, of Dwayne, of Jenny, everyone that he knew, everyone that he knew that died, you know, the war, you know, Virginia, you know, Negan, all these stories. He's the old man that talks to the kids and tells the kids the stories of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Morgan is the old man that tells the stories. That is the perfect way to end Morgan Jones. He's the 100-year-old man that tells kids the stories. He's the storyteller. You know, like you put this makeup on Lenny James and you make him look really, really old. And they've done that a little bit a few episodes ago, but it was just like a dream thing. But like, do it again, but for real. But it's for real this time. It's for real this time. And he's a 100-year-old man. You put some makeup on Lenny James to make him look like he's 100 years old, and he's sitting in a rocking chair or whatever, and he's telling the next generation. He's telling all the children the stories. And the children are just captivated by all the stories that Morgan is telling them. And, you know, Morgan's like, well, you see, I knew this tiger, but, you know, she sacrificed herself to save King Ezekiel, and I knew this really nice man that had 2 pistols named John Dory, but he died, and, you know, we fought this war against this man named Negan, but, you know, we won the war. You know, like, he's the guy that tells the stories. He's the old, elderly man that's the storyteller. That is the perfect way to get rid of Morgan Jones. That's the perfect ending for Morgan Jones. The perfect way to kill off Morgan Jones is technically don't kill him off, but do like a 50, 60-year time jump where he's this elderly man and he's the storyteller. He tells children the stories. I think that's the way to end his character. So if Lenny James, you know, he's leaving, or if they're figuring out a way to end Morgan's story, to be done with Morgan Jones, to be done with Lenny James, I think that's the right way to do it. That's the right way to end Morgan. You know, a 50, 60-year time jump, and he's this 100-year-old man that tells the children all the stories. I think that would be the perfect ending for him. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you guys disagree, but that's what I think. I think that would be the perfect ending for Morgan Jones. He's the old man that tells the stories to the children. But yeah, that's what I think. So, you know, let me know what your opinions are. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for this video. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, don't be shy. Hit that like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I make 1 to 2 Walking Dead videos per day. So please hit that subscribe button. Right now we are at 931 subscribers. My goal is to try to get to 1,000 in the next few weeks. So just remember, every subscriber counts. Every bit of support matters and is very, very appreciated. Hopefully we can get to that goal of 1,000. Anyway, with all that said, I am Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Bye.